Hello, my amiable students. In this module, we'll be looking at climate and climatic types.
Is the atmospheric condition of a place that has been recorded and taken with every variable of weather into consideration for a period of 25 to 35 years. For 3 decades, the recording of weather conditions of a particular place or globally is referred to as weather or climate normals, while climate change tend to refer to the drastic change in surface temperature, heat waves, and other elements of heat content and water content at the level for a period of 90 years. The elements that constitute weather are also the elements that constitute climate. Climate variables are weather elements.
So, what are the climatic belts in the world that we have globally? First, we have hot climates, which can either be tropical or subtropical. So, the tropical climates that we have equatorial climate, monsoon climate, as well as continental or Sudan type of climate. Going up to the subtropical areas, between the subtropical area and the temperate region, we have the temperate weather, which has 2 subdivisions. First, we have the warm temperate climate, which is subdivided into 3 parts. We have the western margin or Mediterranean type, we have the continental or that can be found in the interior, and lastly, we have the western margin of the temperate warm climate. To the second type of temperate climate, we have cool temperate climate belt. So the subarctic type is found in Siberia, Kola, and other areas within the peripheral or within the areas that are close to the polar regions in the Arctic or Antarctic belt. Then moving into the extreme part of the world, which is latitude 80 to 90 and 60 to 90 in the southern hemisphere, we have the polar climate.
Factors that influence climate can be referred to as LORIN in their acronym. L tend to refer to as latitude, which is the variation or the movement of the apparent movement of the sun that tends to affect heat content and water content at the surface. At middle latitudes, temperatures and water conditions tend to be very variable, mild in their forms, while at the equator or the tropics, they tend to be volatile or very hot. So precipitation at the equator or equatorial areas within the tropics tend to be in rainfall and biseasonal, while in the mid-latitude they tend to be very variable and in 4 seasons. And precipitation are of many forms like sleet, snow, frost, fog, etc. In extreme latitudes, there are permanent frost conditions and oblique heat form or light due to the farness of heat or sunlight in that specific region. Another is ocean currents. Water tend to move from equator poleward and from pole towards the equator. So those that bathe coast across the southwest of the equator are normally very hot, while those coming from the polar region that bathe coast along the temperate region are also very cold. So these tend to dictate cold conditions and hot atmospheric weather conditions towards the equator and the tropics in most times of the year. So within the tropics, it is only the monsoon area that tend to have 3 seasons, while within the mid-latitude, seasons are of 4 types, which are autumn, summer, winter, and spring. Another influence of climate is relief. Relief is very essential in the area of climatic conditions or atmospheric conditions of a place. As you assume high altitudes, going upward, temperatures tend to reduce drastically. So it is said that the higher you go, the cooler it becomes. This is referred to as temperature lapse. As every 1000 meter movement, there is 160 degrees Celsius loss of temperature. Moving downward to the base of the mountain, we have temperature inversion, which is the opposite of temperature lapse. So in areas of relief or in areas where highlands tend to serve as geographical barriers, one side of the mountains tend to receive precipitation while the other is barren. The precipitation side is referred to as a windward side of the mountain, while the other side that is bleak or barren is referred to as leeward side. While mountainous areas always receive orographic rainfall from time to time. Another is elevation. Elevation tend to be used to describe height above sea level. Moving upward, pressure tend to decrease, while coming downward, it tends to increase, leading to differential heat and water variables. At the surface, when air is heated, it is forced to rise. As it moves upward, it expands, cools, condenses, and leads to precipitation. This is referred to as convectional rainfall. At the surface, when a warm wind and a cold wind tend to align with each other, there tend to be occultation point or a divide that is referred to as a front or a convergence zone where rainfall will occur as a frontier rainfall. A greater influence on climate is nearness to sea. Areas that are closer to the sea tend to have donor range or differential heat and water content of variables at the coast. This is referred to as land and sea breezes, which tend to alternate in day and night. Because water tend to be heated more easily than land, and land tend to cool more easily than water. So because of that, on daily basis, the changes tend to be very visible in that in day, the land tend to be heated while breeze blows from the sea towards the land due to the coolness of water. While at night, the opposite tend to take place and there is a change in the conditions. While breeze tend to blow towards the sea from the land due to the coolness of the land at night. Another is the movement of air on the surface. Bundles of air tend to make wind, which tend to be prevalent in different forms in different places. Within the tropics, air tend to move in constant direction with a given force due to heating that tend to be aligned with high pressure at different places. In January, it occurs in Agadez, while in December, it tends to affect Botswana, leading air towards the equator as trade winds. While at the extreme parts of the earth, they tend to move as easterlies, hitting the temperate or mid latitudes. So easterlies are very cold due to the regions they come from. They tend to move towards the temperate region coming from the Arctic and Antarctic or subarctic regions. Others are easterlies and local winds like foam, hurricane, typhoon, and others. Climatic conditions affect the adaptability, irritability of man, agricultural conditions of man, technology and harnessing of energy at the settlements of man. It also dictates the culture as well as the varieties of things that are being enjoyed or used by man at the surface. Over time, migrations tend to be affected by the level of climatic condition in the place, like deserts as well as polar regions. In the Arctic, man tend to subdue and dominate, while in the Antarctic, man tend to move towards latitudes ranging from 66 to 57. Extreme part of the southern hemisphere is highly isolated due to its coldness or harsh conditions of permafrost over a long period of time.